Hi guys, and welcome back to another video. Today I've teamed up with PLAYR by Catapult, who have partnered with clubs such as Aston Villa and Newcastle United to bring you an exclusive look into how Premier League players build their fitness during the off-season. The three drills we're going to look at today are from Newcastle United Football Club, and after completing the drills and analysing my own personal data collected from the session, we have the very special opportunity to sit down and chat with the head of sports science at Newcastle United, Jamie Harley, where we'll be chatting more in depth about football-specific fitness training, and trust me when I say that you'll want to bring a notepad along to that conversation. But before you start today's session, please make sure you've warmed up for a good 10 to 15 minutes because the session is very intense and you'll want to prepare your body to meet the high demands of the drills and avoid sustaining muscle injuries. So jumping into the first drill, which is the 10, 15, 35 second fartlek. Fartlek is a Swedish term for a style of running where you constantly change speeds, which closely reflects the type of running you will perform in a football match. To set up the drill, you want to mark out a rectangle approximately 60 meters long and 30 meters wide. If you don't have a measuring device, just go ahead and take one large stride per meter to mark out the drill. Starting at any corner of the rectangle with the ball, you're going to want to run the long side of the rectangle at a fast pace, but making sure you're keeping control of the ball. This should take you around 10 seconds. Then once you reach the opposite corner, stop the ball and run diagonally without the ball to the opposite side at around a 75% pace. This should take you around 15 seconds. Once you reach the opposite side, slow down your pace to around 40 to 50%, running both the length and the width of the triangle until you get back to where you left the ball. This should take you approximately 35 seconds. Then once you get back to the ball, dribble fast to the opposite side and repeat the sequence for 5 repetitions in total. Each repetition should take around 1 minute for 5 minutes of total work, then rest. After resting for 5 minutes, I moved into the second drill, which is the 15 by 15 intervals, which means 15 seconds of work followed by 15 seconds of rest. The drill has 4 high intensity stations. For the first station, you start at the 18-yard line, then you are running box to box trying to get across the opposite line in 15 seconds. Once you get there, rest for 15 seconds and repeat for 8 repetitions in total. Try to pace yourself so you're hitting the line right around 15 seconds. You should be running at around 85 to 90% speed. After you've completed 8 repetitions, rest for 2 full minutes and proceed to the second station. The second station starts on the 18-yard line, and with this one you run to the halfway line, touching the line with your foot, then back to the start trying to complete the distance in 15 seconds. You then rest for 15 seconds and repeat this for 6 total repetitions. The pace will be slightly quicker by a percent or 2, and the added change of direction will make it feel more intense. Once you complete the station, rest for 90 seconds and move on to station 3. Where you start at the 18-yard line, run out 15 meters, which you'll need to mark out with a cone or object, then you turn, run back to the starting line, turn once again, and run all the way to the halfway line. Complete this run in 15 seconds, then rest for 15 seconds, and repeat for 4 total repetitions. Again, the pace will slightly increase, and now with the additional turn, you will feel the lactic acid building even faster. But this will balance out with the fewer repetitions, so still attack each repetition at high intensity. Once you've completed station 3, rest for a single minute, then move on to the final station. Starting at the 18-yard line once again, you sprint out 15 meters, turn, run back to the start, turn at the start, sprint out 15 meters a second time, turn once again, and back to the starting point within 15 seconds. You then rest for 15 seconds and repeat this one for a total of just 2 repetitions. And after you complete station 4, you've completed 1 full set of the interval drill. After resting for a full 5 minutes, I moved on to the third and final drill, which is the star run. For this drill, you're using the markings on the pitch, starting with the center circle. Starting with the ball on the halfway line at the edge of the circle, it's a fast-paced dribble to the sideline where you'll turn with the ball and return to the starting point, where you will then pass the ball across to the opposite side of the circle. Then you recover at a slow pace to the next point of the circle without the ball, and once you reach the next point, accelerate to the corner of the 18-yard box at around a 90% speed, turn at the corner and return to the circle. You then slow down your pace to recover until you reach the next point of the circle, then accelerate again to the opposite corner of the 18-yard box this time. turn at the corner and return to the circle, then you recover to the next point where you retrieve the ball that you passed across in the beginning, and now you repeat the exact same process on the opposite side of the circle. So you dribble out to the sideline and back, going at a fast pace but keeping control of the ball, and then you pass the ball across the circle. Then continue all the way around the circle until you've ran to both corners of the 18-yard box and back to the start. Once you're back to the start, you've completed a full repetition of the star run, and the aim should be to try and complete a full repetition in around 90 to 120 seconds. This is a great exercise because even though we're getting some recovery, we're never coming to a full stop. We're always on the move, and this better reflects the game of football because you will be changing speeds all the time, going from a slow pace to a fast pace and turning, but you'll never fully be stopping unless there is a stoppage in the match. So this is a fantastic drill for working on that endurance, being able to continue on the move at different speeds for a long period of time. So with the third and final drill complete, let's now have a look at the data and analyze today's session. So starting with the overview, as you can see, the entire session lasted 62 minutes. That included about a 10 to 15 minute warm-up and also the rest periods in between each of the drills, which was 5 minutes each, totaling 15 minutes. And that also includes the rest periods in between each of the repetitions. So every time I had 15 seconds of rest, those all totaled up in today's overview as well. So even though it was 62 minutes, the amount of time I was working at high intensity was probably about 20 to 25 minutes. And also bear in mind, I only did one set of each of the drills. If you watch the original videos from Jamie, the head of sports science at Newcastle United, he does recommend you take each of these drills individually and base an entire session around them. So instead of doing all 3 of the drills, you can just do one of the drills, but increase the sets. So instead of doing 1 set, you can do 4, 5, or 6, and you're going to cover more distance and get a lot of work out of those individual drills. So in today's session, we covered 3.9 kilometers over the 3 drills, just doing 1 set with a top speed of 9.1 meters per second. So although we didn't get up to top speed, as you guys might have seen in my speed training videos, I have covered higher speeds than that, but we are getting up into that 90 to 95% of our top speed, and we're doing that multiple times. And over 3.9 kilometers, we're putting a lot of work on the legs, and when we're doing that over and over again, we're not only building fitness, but our speed endurance as well. And as you can see, the number of power runs was 49, so that is a high number of power runs in a short period of time, with a total sprint distance of 1,537 meters. And I already know that's the highest number of meters I've covered while sprinting in a single session. So let's take a look at the session in more detail and see what else we can discover. So if we look at the distance to begin with, as mentioned, we only did 1 set of each of the drills and covered 3.9 kilometers. If you look just above that number, it gives you a target of 4.65 to 7.02 kilometers. My training PB is 5.85 kilometers. That was from a previous session. That's usually when I'm training longer, for about an hour and a half to 2 hours. In an hour, that's pretty typical that I covered 3.9 kilometers, but usually your normal training sessions, when you're involved in your technical work and other aspects, you're going to be lengthening out that session over an hour and a half, maybe 2 hours. But today was strictly focused on fitness, so we kept it to that 1 hour mark. As you can see on the heat map, we covered a lot of the pitch today, which is really good. This session really applies to the game of football, and you're working in the actual conditions you're going to play in. It's great if you can get out and do your fitness work on an actual football pitch and get used to running those lengths, those dimensions that you're going to be faced with on match day as well. It's going to make you a lot more comfortable and used to running those distances. As we already mentioned, we hit 9.1 meters per second, which is about 20.3, 20.4 miles per hour. So we're not hitting my top speed. My top speed is into the 21 miles per hour zone. So we're getting up there though, about 90 to 95% of my top speed. So it's really hitting those high numbers, but still able to get oxygen in to keep it an aerobic activity. We're trying to build our speed endurance and our stamina. We're not working on our full sprint max speed today. So that was really good. And also you can see here from the map, this is where I achieved my fastest sprint, and it's from one box to the other. So we already know it was in that interval drill when I was in that first station, running from one 18-yard box to the other. So that's what's really good about this app. You can see where exactly your fastest sprints took place. So if I was wearing this device during a match, I can see where on the pitch I'm making my fastest runs, which would typically be on the wing for me as a winger. Looking at the power runs, we did a lot of powerful runs today. Each of the drills were very powerful in terms of our stride length, in terms of the power we're exerting. We're definitely achieving high speeds through each and every single one of the drills we did in today's session. And as mentioned before, we covered 1,537 meters in our sprints. So overall, a really good intense session that really reflects the game of football. We're always changing speeds, changing directions, which mirrors the game a lot more than if you went out and just did some steady state jogging. In the game of football, you are sometimes walking, you are sometimes jogging, and then suddenly you have to go up to a sprint without a moment's notice. So this kind of training is really going to prepare you for that, and you're going to find your football conditioning really improves through this type of training. So really enjoyable stuff, great data that we can see through the app here. But with that in mind, let's turn it over to Jamie, the head of sports science at Newcastle United, and see what we can learn from him.
Hi Michael, can you hear me?
Hi mate, how are you?
Yeah, good, thanks. How's
Good.
it going?
It's all good.
Very good. I've seen the YouTube channel, really looks really good.
Thank you.
The stuff you're doing. So it must be a lot of hard work to put all the sessions together, I guess.
Yeah, it's good though. I mean, it definitely keeps me busy, and it's nice because I can train and film at the same time. And the nice thing about my channel, it is a lot of training sessions, so it's not have to take away too much time from my training. I can kind of make it all coincide, which is brilliant. So yes, people seem to like it. I think especially now with a lot of people training individually, and this is why I think your videos have been great. And I literally fresh from the session now. I was on the pitch about 35 minutes ago. Tough stuff, but I think this stuff's going to be brilliant. Even for me, I would have loved to have this at a younger age, but even having it now is quality. So I appreciate that. Yeah, appreciate that.
No problem at all,
yeah, it's good, mate. So I kind of briefly explained a couple of the drills, but I wanted to hear from yourself on what specifically are these particular kind of exercises working on.
Yeah. So I think initially if I use the star run first, so the star run is one I picked up years and years ago from Jens Bangsbo. So he's got a classic book on football conditioning, and it was billed as a high intensity aerobic drill, where you essentially run at a fast speed around the star and get back as fast as you possibly can. We adapted it a little bit to put the ball in there as well, and also to help you change speeds during the run. So we make the recovery bit slow around, but then we're looking for you to change direction and accelerate out when you do your fast run. So it becomes a little bit more of a speed endurance drill. So it should be quite hard. You should be working up to about 90% heart rate in that drill if you're working for sort of 90 seconds at a good pace. I don't know what sort of time you're getting in, but 90 to 2 minutes, depending on the size of pitch that you have, is a good time. And you're looking for around a 1-to-1 work to rest. So whatever it takes you to do the drill, you rest that again to get a good amount of rest in there, and then try and work with quality. I think that one as well is trying to maintain your quality when you've got the ball as well. So in the two sections where you're taking the ball out, when players get tired, they tend to just knock the ball out as far as they can, but it's trying to keep the ball close to your feet, keep the quality as you're getting fatigue. And with all of these drills, just they can be used maybe once a week, but you can look to progress them. You can add extra reps in, or you can look to do them quicker and quicker.
So I did one set of each drill. I think the way you designed them, correct me if I'm wrong, but you probably want to take each drill and do the full session on separate days, I imagine.
Yeah, so these three drills I would normally class them as standalone drills. So you would do your star run might be the main conditioning block that you do in that day. You might supplement it with some low intensity technical work. But that would really be the main focus of that day. So you're taxing your VO2 max system, you're taxing your anaerobic threshold. You don't really need to bolt on too much physical work on top of that. If you get the reps correct, then that is a good stimulus in itself. The other ones, so the 15-15 interval run. So obviously these short intervals have had loads of sort of publicity in the sort of explosion of high intensity interval training. These have always been around, these types of runs, but working 15 on, 15 off kind of works because you're normally working within the confines of a football pitch. So to run from one end to the other because of the distance, 80, 100 metres, it's around the 15-second effort. So these runs work quite well. So if you're keeping the rest intervals quite short to 15 seconds, That's key because it means that you're accumulating some metabolic demands later on in the drill. So your heart rate again should be probably between 80 to 90%, sometimes a bit higher. And the key thing with the variations that we put in this drill was that you're actually going to tax different systems in this drill. When you're running box to box, you're going to be accumulating, as you say, some high speed distance. Yeah. As you increase the complexity and put the turn in there, obviously the high speed distance is going much less, but you're really increasing that neuromuscular load, or it might come up as the power players on the app. So in the last section where you're just doing the really short shuttle drills, that's kind of appropriate to what players will do on the pitch when they're pressing in a small area. But you're not involved in any high speed running in that section of the drill. Okay. But you're just taxing different muscles, the neuromuscular system in a different way. So that interval session is a bit of a mix from high speed running down to really short, intense efforts.
Yeah. What kind of recovery measures should you be taking after these types of sessions when you are loading up the legs so much and probably depleting a lot of your energy sources?
Yeah. I think a key thing is how you structure these sessions within a week. So one thing we try to do with the players when they're working by themselves or at home is structure the week in a similar way that they would be training if they were in at the club, building towards a game, which will be on a Saturday. So these longer interval type runs, like the star run, might be on the Tuesday in that week, which might be quite a high intense training day. The short interval runs might be on the Thursday, so at least you're leaving 24 hours in between these sessions to help, as you say, help the body recover. And then the fartlek run, which is the mixed speed, this is probably the highest distance you're going to do, and you're actually taxing all three energy systems because you're working fast, you're working medium, and you're working slow in this drill. So it's much more specific to what you do. Actually, when you're playing football on a pitch, you're always changing speeds. So we put this session in as a kind of game replacement on a Saturday. So you're actually leaving time in between each drill throughout the week to help you recover in between each one. If you're carrying too much fatigue into these sessions, then you probably don't work a level to produce the adaptations that you want. So you want to leave as much recovery, in particular with the really short efforts where you're turning frequently, or the short shuttles. As you say, this is going to be quite a little bit of a leg burner. The high speed one is going to obviously stress things like your hamstrings to a little bit more degree than the real short efforts. So classic recovery methods is you want to get your nutrition back in straight away after the session. So replace your glycogen stores and getting your hydration in as soon as you can. And that's, for me, that's always the first thing after a good session, is just replenishing those energy stores to give your body a chance to heal. Obviously, taking in some protein to help the muscles rebuild is key. And then really simply, good sleep, good rest, and that day is always the key. I don't tend to go down too many of the real detailed recovery modalities. I think if you're getting the real basics right, you give yourself a chance. You can add bits on individually, but good sleep and good nutrition really is the key.
I think what a lot of people, when they're training by themselves and they're working on their fitness, I think some people are tempted just to go out for these long distance runs, and then when they come back to football they realise they're getting tired very quickly. And just like you were saying, this type of training is more reflective of the game because you are changing speeds all the time in football, and that puts a different kind of stress on the muscles. With that in mind, is there a place for steady state cardio? Is that more of a recovery method? When would you say that is appropriate?
Yeah, I absolutely think there's a place for steady state cardio, particularly in either the off season or particularly, as you say, as a recovery method. So on a Friday, if we were planning a session for the team, if they're in isolation, we would normally put in a 30-minute steady state low intensity exercise. It might be on a bike, on an exercise bike. It might be that you just go out for a very slow jog to go for a run. I think what you take away from training individually is that you miss out on all of the tactical, the low intensity work that you would naturally do as part of the team. So when you're on the pitch, you're working on technical drills, or you might be working on some tactical formation. In these drills, you're not working at always real high intensity, but you're still on your feet, you're still working, you're still accumulating distance in the legs. So I think it's important to try and put that in your training week as well. There's a different focus in all of these sessions. There's long intervals, there's short intervals, and there's mixed speeds. I think if you're doing these three type of sessions at least once a week, but then mixing it up with low intensity sessions on your recovery days, plus just some technical sessions, and also a rest day in the week as well. Then you're more or less covering all bases in your training.
Brilliant.
But you can't, yeah, you're exactly right. You can't just go high intensity, high intensity, high intensity all the time, because you'll find that you come back to train, your fitness might be very high, but you're actually fatigued and you've got no freshness left in the system to then deal with a hard pre-season.
Yeah, brilliant, mate. So last thing, when you're doing these kind of sessions, I think there's other aspects of the game that are a bit more easier to identify when you're improving. I know there's definitely an element of you feel fitter, but is there certain metrics we can look at to kind of track our progress in our fitness to see that we're actually making some improvements in maybe a few weeks or so?
Yeah, I think the key thing is to make a note of exactly what you've done. So if you do one of these sessions, a star run, or you do 8 reps of 15-15 as prescribed, or you do 3 times 5 minutes of the mixed speed run, that is your starting point. If you feel like you want to progress the next week, then you can increase that external load by adding an extra rep. You could even increase the size of the area for the fartlek run. You're just looking at an area to improve your progression in that exercise. What you'll obviously see is that the external load through the app will increase. You might do a slightly higher distance. Your average speed might be slightly higher in that session. The key thing then is tying in your internal load as well. So if you've got your heart rate belt on, a real key one would just be to look at the average heart rate that you've had in that session. So if, for example, on the star run session, you're averaging 90%, if you repeat that session week after week, you might start to see some improvements that you start averaging 89%, 88% as you become more conditioned to do that.
Okay.
And that's a natural progression of, obviously, as you increase your fitness, as you become more tolerant to these types of sessions. So increase the external load at the right time by adding progressions, but check the internal load as well. Look at your internal response to these sessions. All the sessions are in the app. They're also on the YouTube channel now. I saw there's also some home workouts that people can do. Strength and conditioning coach shared a few exercises as well. Any other just last piece of advice for those training at home, not able to train with their teams right now? I think that it's really difficult when you're at home. Obviously, as a team sport athlete, for your whole career, your whole life, you've been used to training as part of a team. So you're used to coming in, you have you react with your teammates, you're all together. The difficult thing training yourself is keeping yourself motivated. I always come down to the number one rule in training is consistency. So just be consistent. So if you can get into that mindset that you just have to get out there and do the work. Sometimes you might not feel like doing it. Sometimes you have to really motivate yourself to get yourself to the pitch. If you can go out there and do the session, I think these apps are great because they give you some accountability and they give you some feedback of how you've done. And you can sit back at the end of the day and look at what you've achieved and see your progress over time. So if you can keep your mindset positive, if you can, as much as possible, and just stay consistent with your training, then you'll reap the rewards further down the line. So you're competing against yourself till you can get back competing against others, right? Yeah, exactly. Yeah. It's a good way of putting it, yeah. All right, well, thank you so much for not only your time, but also sharing an insight into what training's like at a Premier League level. Listen, Michael, it's great to meet you, and listen, let's keep in touch. Definitely. It'll be great to just keep in touch on WhatsApp, whatever, and see how you progress over the years. If you need anything, you're over here, just give me a shout. Brilliant. Hopefully I can get back soon. We'll have to come up that way. Yeah, definitely, yeah. Thank you again. Really appreciate it, Jamie. Take care. Cheers, Michael. Thanks. Cheers, man. See you soon. So there we go, just finished my conversation with Jamie Harley, the head of sports science of Newcastle United Football Club. A little bit surreal knowing that he's preparing the team to go against Chelsea next week and we're sitting here having a conversation. So very fortunate to have that opportunity. Hope you guys took away a lot of value from it as well, brought your notepads along. We got so much insight into how Premier League clubs train as well as their recovery, and also more about fitness training specifically, because even though you do get fitness benefits going out and just jogging for miles and miles and miles, it is a bit more football specific. If you can change the distance, the speed and the intensity, it's a better reflection of the game, which is going to serve you more on the pitch. So I hope you enjoyed today's video. Make sure you check out those videos in full length. I'm going to leave the links in the description box below if you want to learn how to set those drills up. And Jamie provides a lot more information on the drills as well. Really valuable stuff. Make sure you check out PLAYR as well. The app is free where you can access these drills as well as many others, but also check out the device.
because it's really going to help you take your training to the next level. It gives you so much feedback and valuable information about your sessions, so you can repeat these sessions, look at the data, compare the metrics, and see how you're improving in so many areas. So check out the link in my description if you want to pick up a PLAYR for yourself. Couldn't recommend it enough. It's been so valuable in my off-season training, and I know it's going to help you guys with yours as well. You're basically competing against yourself, especially during this time when you're not training with your teams. It's great to motivate yourself, compete against yourself, and you're going to see that continual improvements and actually have evidence of it in the app. So make sure you check out all the links in my description. I hope you enjoyed today's video. If you did, make sure you smash the like button, hit that subscribe button for weekly training videos, and I will see you guys in my next video.